Hello and welcome to Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha. I can get my finger in here. And Dad. How you doing, Tabitha?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I am panicked. All my aunts are coming over and they're toxic.
Why did I
Tabitha's
have to
not.
sit through those jokes twice?
Yeah, I told these jokes already to Tabitha before we started recording. And she laughed so hard that she doubled over and was crying, and now she's
I
used to them. So,
I didn't laugh.
yeah.
That's a lie.
Hey, I used to be a semi-pro comedian, I'm pretty good at this stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to look at the 1977 classic Panic at Lakewood Manor, aka It Happened at Lakewood Manor, aka Ants. Why this movie has three titles, I don't know. When it came out on TV, it was called Panic at Lakewood Manor. And then when they put it out on VHS in the 80s, they just simply titled it Ants. And now when you look it up, it's going by It Happened at Lakewood Manor, along with Panic at Lakewood Manor and Ants. I don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't
I
either.
don't know why they do that sometimes.
It's probably because of a guy named Gordon Trueblood who wrote the screenplay. I'm going to blame him. He wrote such classics as The Savage Bees, Tarantula, The Deadly Cargo, which we will do on this show one day, Jaws 3D, which is actually not the worst Jaws movie. That would be Jaws 4. Um, he also wrote for TV shows such as Adam 12 and Barnaby Jones. Barnaby Jones starred Buddy Epson, who was from where, Tabitha?
Illinois, I guess.
We're at in Illinois.
Alton, I don't know.
You really don't know where Buddy Epson was from?
No! Where
He was from Belleville, Illinois.
is he?
Yes. You
I
know
did
where
not know that.
you know where the swimming I don't think the swimming pool is still there, but where the swimming pool was,
The public pool, yeah.
yeah, that's where his family's property was.
Oh,
Yeah.
I honestly did not know that.
Well, that was Buddy Epson who played in Barnaby Jones, which was once had the screenplay written by Gordon Trueblood. That's how we got there. 6 degrees of separation. Tabitha lives in Belleville, Illinois. So Tabitha and Barnaby Jones are like this.
Why are you doxing me in front of the whole internet?
Oh, okay. I meant Tabitha's from Bellevue, Oregon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah, that's it. That's it. So I'm from Pevely, Missouri, or am I? Um, he was very interesting. He was born in Costa Rica, which you think of as, kind of a like a minor country. And but
A
he was
minor country. I'm sure they appreciate that. Yeah.
well, especially at the time when he was born, gosh, way back in the 40s, it was kind of looked at. I hate to use this term, but as a banana republic. And now Costa Rica is mostly known for its beautiful beaches and tourism. But he was educated at Princeton, so he has an Ivy League education. He died in 2021 at the age of 87. And strangely enough, he died from stings from savage bees, bites from tarantulas, from a deadly cargo, and ants. Very weird death.
They
Uh,
didn't like the way he slandered them, so
yes,
they all
they
teamed up to
ganged
take
up
him
on him.
out.
And they got a shark, a 3D shark to help them. Adam 12 couldn't save him, and neither could Barnaby Jones. It was
Oh
terrible.
no.
Uh, this was directed by Robert Shearer, and he is known for such movies as Disney's The World's Greatest Athlete, a movie from 1980 called How to Beat the High Cost of Living that had Susan St. James and Jane Curtin, and Jessica Lange in it. Pretty good movie, pretty funny. And
Does it have any good tips? Because I would love to know how to beat the high cost of living.
oh, you got to watch it then. Yeah,
Oh,
great
all
movie.
right. I'll get right on that. And then my problems will be over.
All over, yeah. Well, this one's still alive, but hey, what can I say?
You're not a
Um,
problem.
but you'll like this. He also directed many, many episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
but he's not directing anymore because he died in 2018 at the age of 88. So, um,
Dad. Actually, I'll be pretty happy if I make it to 88. So
yeah.
good for him.
As far as the cast, the movie stars Robert Foxworth as Mike Carr. And interesting fact, I did not know this about Robert Foxworth. He was the first one who was offered the role of J.R. Ewing, but he turned it down.
Oh, I bet he kicked himself.
Oh, I'm sure he did. And he probably still is because he's still with us at the age of 84.
Oh.
Um, but he went on to do things like Falcon Crest, 6 Feet Under, did episodes of Hawaii Five-O, Babylon, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Enterprise.
Yay!
And he was married to one of our favorite actresses from TV movies, Miss Elizabeth Montgomery.
Oh,
They lived together
cool.
for about 20 years, and then a couple years before she died, they got married. And so they were technically only married for like 2 years, but they were together for a long term. Very cool. And like I said, he is still with us at the age of 84.
Mm.
And playing the role of Valerie Adams is Linda Day George, who growing up, her parents could not afford braces. Um,
Wow.
I'm sorry, but when you see a beautiful woman on TV nowadays, the teeth are always perfect. Hers are not perfect. And I thought, yes, because I don't have perfect teeth. Of course, I'm
I
not.
did not notice her teeth.
I
So you're
did.
shallow.
Well, you watched it on YouTube, and
Yeah.
I had to pay for it on Prime, so I got to watch it in high def. And
That's what you get for waiting till the last minute.
like 2 weeks ago when I looked this movie up, it was on YouTube,
Yeah.
and then I I watched the movies Saturday and Sunday. I kind of split it up, right? Do the movie Saturday and Sunday. By Saturday, it was gone from YouTube. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I couldn't find it anywhere except Amazon Prime had it, and I had to rent it for $2.99.
Yeah,
So
he was texting me, warning me as if I wasn't already prepared. I watch the movies either Tuesday or Thursday, very early in the morning before I start work.
thanks for just telling everybody you're better than me. Thank
I
you.
think they
I
know
was trying to
that.
keep that a secret. Okay. Um,
Anyway,
Linda
get
Day,
back to Linda Day George.
she plays Valerie Adams, and I've always been a big admirer of Linda Day George. She did everything on TV in the 70s and 80s, but she actually started in the 60s. She was in episodes of she was in Mission Impossible, the TV series. She also was in episodes of Flipper, The Love Boat, McCloud, Vegas. And like I said, just about every other series between the 60s and the 80s. And she is still with us at the age of 81.
Nice. She's mentioned in that Quinn Martin book that I have. She did a lot of his pilot movies, but she always declined to go to series if it got picked up. She did not want to be tied down to a series. She liked working on various shows.
I,
So I
I'm
thought that was
I can
interesting.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Playing Vince, which is probably the greatest name ever. We have Bernie Casey, and Bernie's a very interesting guy. He is a former NFL player and wasn't just one of these NFL players who played in the NFL. He played for 10 years. He was an all-pro. He
No
played for the
kidding.
Rams. Yeah, he played for the Rams and the 49ers. Very good football player. He made his acting debut in The Guns of the Magnificent Seven. He also had a part in Brian's song, Sharky's Machine, of course, Revenge of the Nerds, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's done a lot of stuff. He passed away in 2017 at the age of 78. I've always liked Bernie Casey. Playing the fire chief is Brian Dennehy, and I'm not going to go through him because we've already went through him on previous episodes. But I
It's
will
a
throw,
small part anyway.
yeah, yeah. But I will throw in a fifth actress, actor. It's not politically correct to say actress anymore. They're all just actors. It's like we're all just
Yeah,
people.
I don't think if you say actress, people are gonna get on to you though. But yeah,
Oh, she certainly wouldn't because she was a very right winger. Suzanne Summers
she
plays Glory.
was.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, that breaks my heart.
Oh
Damn it.
gosh, yeah.
I used to love Three's Company.
Big Trumper, huge Trumper. So, um,
Damn it.
she plays Gloria Henderson, and she is known mostly as Chrissy Snow from Three's Company and the Thigh Master later lady. But most people don't know this that she was actually in the sitcom Step by Step for a lot longer than she was in Three's Company. She's I think 9 seasons, the whole 9 seasons Step by Step. She was
Yeah, I did watch Step by Step as a kid. It was no great show or anything. It was just what was on when I was a kid.
yeah. It was her, and who was the guy in it?
It was Patrick Duffy.
Yeah, Patrick
Yeah.
Duffy, and yeah. And she also was in the TV show She's the Sheriff, which was on oh gosh, what do you call it? Syndication, yeah.
Mm.
She also was in the movies American Graffiti, where she played the blonde in the T-Bird that Richard Dreyfuss was all gaga over. And she was also in a very terrible movie which killed her movie career called Nothing Personal. Um, She passed away in 2023 at the age of 76. This
Mm.
movie aired December 2nd,
Well,
19.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. First of all, she was in like 4 episodes of Starsky and Hutch playing different characters. And second of all, um, I want to bring up the elderly mother in this is played by Myrna Loy, who was a very, very famous classic Hollywood actress. You may know her from the Thin Man movies. She was Nora Charles. Um, or I guess you don't. But she's very beautiful woman. She is my favorite classic Hollywood actress. I don't know, I just have such a crush on her. I name one of my mermaid tales after her because I name all of my mermaid tales after classic actresses. So she deserves a shout out, Miss Myrna Loy.
Okay, let's give her a shout out. Ah, out.
Have you seen The Best Years of Our Lives?
Oh, yeah, of course. One of the best ever. That's
Okay,
right. Oh my
she's
gosh.
the matriarch in the yes.
Oh man. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Um, Also in this movie, just as a side note, with a small role is Barry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's son, and I only say that because he looks just like Dick Van Dyke. So did not quite have the career. This aired December 2nd, 1977 on ABC. Also, Stacy Keach Sr. is in this too as a small
Yeah.
role. It's just like all these people pop up. So um, it aired December 7th, 1977 on ABC, and it went up against CBS, which was a two-part Wonder Woman. And NBC, it went up against CPO Sharkey, the Don Rickles sitcom, The Rockford Files, and Quincy MD. So
Hmm.
let's get into the movie. It starts with some heavy machinery like construction earth movers, um, buckets and stuff like that, big machine buckets, man stuff. And they're at a build site.
Stuff you know all about, clearly, by the way you're describing it.
um, and they have like this hole, and then they have this terrible thing built above it that is basically a bunch of 2x4s and some plywood laying on it. And I guess you're not supposed to get in the hole. Probably because you're afraid the wood's going to fall because this is the most rickety looking shit I've ever seen. I'm thinking, are these real construction people or me building a clubhouse at the age of 8? But anyway, so there are sounds from under this in this hole under this platform, this makeshift platform. And so a man rushes down and sees that there is a guy in this hole screaming, "Get them off," while swatting things off his body. So this guy runs in and he tries to help them get whatever is off his body. And then a bulldozer or an earth mover, I guess it is a bulldozer, um, accidentally fills in this hole with some dirt. It goes kind of under the platform and buries the guys. And nobody notices that the two guys have been buried alive. Nobody.
No, I think OSHA would have a lot to say about this
Oh, oh
operation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the bulldozer was driven by Vince, which is played by Bernie Casey. The only bad thing he does in this movie is bury two men alive. So
Whoops, did he?
in the next scene, we cut to Tony and Gloria. Gloria, the Suzanne Summers character. They're riding out to the Lakewood community because Tony is in the market to buy. And so they're talking about their accommodations. They say that they're going to be staying at the Romer Hotel. And Tony got them two room, or Gloria got them two rooms, and Tony says, "We only need one room." Oh, you're Suzanne Summers. Yeah. I'm an ugly, weird guy, but hey, I'm in this movie with you. This is awesome. So Tony says, "We only need one room." And Gloria says, "You know what? I do not believe in mixing business and pleasure," which I don't either. I don't.
Well, she's a liar when she says this, so
That's right. We'll find out how big of a liar she is. So then we cut to the lobby of Lakewood Manor. And there's a boy about the age of 10, and he's trying to feed a parrot in a cage. And Ethel, your hero, um,
yes.
Ethel, who is in a wheelchair, not for fun, she actually can't walk. She tells this young boy Tommy not to feed the bird, that the bird is 32 years old and has been around since his mother was a child. And on cue, his mother Marjorie walks into the room and she greets Ethel. And Ethel asks if her husband is coming for the weekend. The boy says, "Dad's not coming here." Oh, trouble in paradise. Daddy left. Daddy, please don't go. So anyway, the next scene, we see Richard, Barry Van Dyke, and he works for Lakewood Manor, and he's finishing like some concrete poured for a sidewalk. You know how you take a little trough and smooth it out, you know? And so he carves his initials in the wet cement like one does. And then this girl named Linda asks if she can carve her initials in there too, and she introduces herself. And by the way, Dick Van Dyke's son is a good-looking guy. And I thought, wow, I did not know that the Van Dykes could come up with such hunky men. So
I think
he's,
young Dick Van Dyke was handsome,
yeah,
just
I
very, very tall,
guess he was,
very
and
lanky. But
he's still around at the age of
I
100.
know, good for him.
Yeah. His brother, who I thought was much funnier, Jerry, he's passed away. But did you ever watch Coach?
Yes, mom
He
liked Coach, so yeah.
he he was uh the assistant coach on Coach. Jerry Van Dyke was.
Yes, I. The only thing I remember from his part is there's an episode where went to Hawaii and he gets off a plane. He's like, Hawaii, oh my God, to be here. Like, this is just our layover in San Diego. And he's like, oh my God, San Diego, I would want home to be.
Oh, so Linda tells Richard that she's been backpacking, but a friend abandoned her for a guy. And she asks if she can get some help. You know, if he can help her, you know, all she needs is a shower and a bed. Apparently, she doesn't have any money. She's kind of a drifter. And she said, just for a little bit, I need some civilization, I guess, because she's been backpacking around and stuff like that. So then we cut back to the construction site, and Mike, our hero, he approaches Vince on the earth mover and asks if he has seen Frank. And he says, "Yeah, about 5 minutes ago, heading to the hotel." And then the scene pans to an old ruptured pipe that is in the hole underneath the platform. And there are ants all over this pipe crawling out. So by the way, if ants creep you out, this isn't the movie for you because I've been itching thinking I've had ants on me since I watched this. But anyway,
Oh, Mondo apparently did wake up one time and there was an ant infestation in his home and they were all over him as a child. So
ah,
he doesn't like ants either.
mm. So, um, then we cut to a scene in the hotel kitchen. There's a cook who is mixing something, and you can see in the sink there are some ants. And then we're back at the site, and Gloria and Tony, they pull up, and comment on the expansion and the revenue it can generate. And then they pull up to the hotel lobby, and Gloria says, "Let's just stay here. Let's change our reservations from the Romer Hotel. Let's stay here at Lakewood Hotel." And what Gloria wants, she gets, apparently. So she's there. In the next scene, we have Ethel looking at Tony's business card, and her daughter Valerie is there. And Valerie, Linda Day George, she tells her mom, "You said you would meet him." And Ethel says, "I just can't. I can't see him. I have the right to change my mind." And Valerie is not too happy about that. So she walks off. Valerie actually wants her to sell the hotel. It's been in their family for 100 years, and Ethel is balking at that. So in the next scene, Valerie goes to Tony and she says to him, "Mom isn't feeling very well and can't see you right now." He said, "That's okay. I'm actually going to stay at the hotel and later on today would be fine." So then Mike enters the lobby. Our hero Mike enters the lobby. And in the background, you can see Richard smuggling Linda, the backpacking chick, kind of smuggling her upstairs, to get her a bed and a shower and stuff like that. And Valerie confronts Mike and says that he is not supposed to be walking in the lobby because Mike is a construction foreman. He's in construction stuff. You're not supposed to be walking in the lobby. And he says, "I'm looking for one of my men." Yeah, that's a way to tell her. "I'm looking for one of my men." Ba, 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 ba. And she says, "This is a civilized place. You and your men dropping in here like a bunch of apes makes it look like a gas station." And so he opens the men's room's door because they're by a men's room. Says, "Anybody in there?" Nobody answers. So he pulls her into the men's room and starts kissing her. And I'm thinking, "Mike, you little horn dog. She just chewed you out and now you're kissing her." And I'm wanting her to smack him. And then he asks her, "What's the matter?" And she says, "You're not supposed to start work till 8 a.m. And mom has changed her mind again about selling the hotel. And I must get her to slow down." And I'm thinking, okay, so they're
They're a
together.
thing. Yeah.
They are a thing. Yes. And then some guy barges into the bathroom because men sometimes need to use the men's room. And he
What?
sees, yeah, usually we go by a car, on a tree, in a poodle factory. I don't know, wherever, but sometimes we do use the bathroom. So they leave the bathroom, and as they're leaving, she says something like, "I was just checking out the paper towels," or something. And so now we're back at the construction site, and which is, by the way, adjacent to the hotel. So this is all one area. So Frank and Charlie are missing. That's the two guys that were buried alive. And Mike and Vince, they look at the platform, and Mike looks and sees that there's dirt in there that shouldn't be in there. And he says, and he also sees a hard hat. He says, "Get a group in that area and start digging." And we see that there are ants all around that area. And they're in there and they uncover the foot. It's still attached to the leg, but all you see is a foot and a little leg sticking out of one of the men. So we know that they're in there. So now we're back at the hotel with Ethel and Valerie. And Valerie says that Tony is the right person to sell to. Ethel says, "That's not what we are talking about. I can't face leaving the memories. I've been here all my life, and I've been there. We moved in our house in East Alton in 1971. And
Hmm.
in 2005, I think it was 2005, um, my sisters elected me to tell Mom, you can't live here anymore. You can't take care of yourself." And so yeah, it's like she'd been there for almost 40 years, raised her kids there and everything. It's kind of sad. Uh,
Yeah.
but she actually did like living in the retirement home, so they went good for her. So, uh, Frank and Charlie are missing. Mike and Vince, they look at the platform and, well, wait a minute, I've done that. So
Yeah. You.
where are we at here? So, oh, yeah. So, Valerie is talking to Ethel, and Ethel says, "I can't face leaving the memories. I've been here all my life." And Valerie says, Mike has been offered a good job in San Francisco, and I can't see you here without help. Basically, I'm moving with Mike. He's my beau. He's my bae. Is that what the kids say? My bae?
Don't say Bay.
Bae. You don't know what my favorite kind of window is? A bae. So, anyway, so she says, Mike has been offered a good job in San Francisco, which has a nice bay. And I can't see you here without help. And Ethel tells her, I can manage. She says, Mom, you're a freaking crip. You can't man. Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't say that. But Valerie says, if you sell, you can make a condition that you will always have a room here when you visit. And then we see Mike run by. And Mike is on the phone and says to Valerie that there's been a cave in, and he gives her the phone and says, tell them where to send the ambulance. So Valerie takes the phone and gives the operator the address as Mike goes back out to the site. And he gets to the site, and they said one of them is not breathing. The other one is apparently. And then there's a cut, and we see Linda in the shower, not out of the shower. I didn't mean in the shower, coming out. She's out of the shower. She got a robe on. There's nothing weird going on here. And Richard comes into the room and he gives her some sandwiches because Richard's a nice guy. You know.
Yeah, this
So
is my least favorite subplot. Sorry.
yeah, that's why I
It's
didn't there's not much going on there. So
no, it's boring.
they were the eye candy for young viewers. That's what I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Suzanne
anyway,
Summers wasn't enough eye candy.
what's that?
Suzanne Summers wasn't enough eye candy for the no.
Gosh, she's ugly. So anyway, um, and then we hear an ambulance coming to the site, and Richard wonders what's happened, and Linda says is looking out the third floor window, and she says, "Oh, I'm afraid of heights," and which is going to come in big time later on in this movie. But anyway, Linda tells Richard that she was lying about her friend, that she's a frickin' liar, a big fib teller. She's going straight to hell. Wait a minute. This is a TV movie. She's going straight to heck because she is a big freaking liar. Anyway, she she said she wanted to find someone who would take her in because she's been doing this, and then they kiss. Gosh, man. Then we see the ambulance leaving the site, and they said that they think that Frank will make it, but Charlie is dead. And Mike asked what they were doing down there, and then Vince, it wasn't my fault. I mean, I just pushed dirt all over him. So, but yeah,
They were
I just
screaming,
thought
"Stop, please don't!" And I
he
just thought they
immediately,
were joking.
yeah, he immediately says it wasn't my fault. Like, well, there's the problem. You were so quick to say that. And Mike says that they must have had a reason to go down there. And then we pan back to the ruptured pipe and we see the ants all over them. So the next scene, we're at the hospital and Mike and Vince are outside the room waiting for information on Frank. And Frank stops breathing while the doctors work on him. And the doctor says, I don't get it. There's no real injuries. He should be breathing on his own right now. There's no fractures or anything, and they give him some meds and says that he has signs of some kind of a toxic problem, which is poison, by the way. So then Vince says, you're going to call Frank's wife, and Mike says, oh, why don't you do it? Oh, wow.
God.
Yeah. Like you're the site manager. You should call the wife.
Exactly. I'm like, wow, you coward.
So anyway, the doctor comes out and says that Charlie, of course, is dead, but Frankie is in bad shape. And the doctor asks, was there like a pipe in that hole, a gas pipe in that hole? And so, well, there was a drain pipe. And the doctor even asked, what about is a possibility that there was a snake in that hole? And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of a silly thing. You've had the body there. Wouldn't you have looked for a snake bite? Um, but anyway, he says, we'll give it a closer look and we don't know what we're dealing with. Then we cut back to the kitchen and the ants are now storming up the kitchen drain. And then the cook takes some trash out to the dumpster and he throws it in the dumpster, and there are just ants everywhere. But the cook just doesn't notice that there are ants in a sink and about 10 gazillion ants in the trash bin. I don't know. Oh, anyway. So the next scene, we cut to Tony and Gloria again, and Tony says everyone has a soft spot. We just have to find out what Ethel wants. She's got a soft spot. And Gloria suggests that they offer her a place to stay. And Tony says to her the most misogynistic thing. Oh, glad to see you have a mind too. I'm thinking, geez, man, if I did that, Kathy would take my nose and twist it till blood came out, and then she would laugh. But anyway, she gives a sarcastic thank you, completely bypassing the nose twisting suggestion I just gave. And she asks him, what's my soft spot? And he says, handsome men who find you attractive and intelligent. I thought, ooh, Tony is smooth. And then they go out to the pool, and Tony sees Richard putting lotion on Linda. And then he walks up and says, when you're finished basting the chicken, give me a hand. Because Richard works there, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm a rich guy, give me a hand. And Richard says, what can I do for you? Tony yells, two bologna sandwiches on rye. What do you think? We need towels for two. I go, gosh, Tony, man, take a chill. Jeez, man. So then we're out in the back of the hotel, and Marjorie, Tommy's mother, is relaxing in an Adirondack chair, and Tommy comes up with these bottles. And this kind of is encapsulated in time because it used to be you had these glass soda bottles and you return them. So like if you got like a 6 pack of soda instead of the cans at that time, they all came in bottles. You would return the empty bottles and get like 10 cents a bottle. And that's what some of us kids did in the 70s. We'd need extra money. We'd go around and we would find bottles and take them to Seavers Market and get 75 cents, which was the equivalent of $2,000 today. So anyway,
Aw, that's adorable.
it was adorable. It took me back. So Tommy comes up with the bottle and says, look, Mom, I found a lot of bottles. And she says, don't be ridiculous, Tommy. We're not taking those bottles home. And I thought, there's a 70s mom right there. Everything kids do are stupid, or all
Well,
things kids do is stupid. I just butchered it twice. What a bad statement.
well, why were you guys so stupid? It's not the
I will
mom's
get in.
fault.
I will get into that later. Okay, why we were so stupid. And Tommy says, I'm not being ridiculous. So she does apologize to him. And she says, why do we need money? He says, I need money to take care of you now that dad has left us. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe mom didn't just go out there dying laughing. I need a man or something. I don't know. It was terrible.
Right?
I,
And she doesn't correct him. She just says, "Oh, okay, go collect your bottles." No, no. Tell that child it's not his responsibility to take care of them.
it's not his
Oh my
responsibility, number
God.
one. And number two, women can raise kids. My mom raised me and my sisters alone, so it can happen. It's not like it's unreal. And she did it in the 60s and 70s. So,
I know.
anyway, so in the next scene, Mike and Vince, they drive back to the site from the hospital. And there are two people there from the Board of Health, Peggy and Lionel. And they said, there's been an accident on the site. We must investigate. And Peggy says, if you can prove that you did not send the men in there, you are okay. If not, there's going to be criminal negligence and it will cost you. And the sign that says keep out has been taken out because they were looking in there and they just kind of threw it. And so now they're kind of, especially Lionel's like, oh, looks like you just threw the sign there after everything has happened to save your own butt. Um, so anyway, Mike tells them every man here will attest that we had the sign up and we are not telling men to go into this area. And uh, so Peggy tells Mike,
However, Vince does frequently try to bury his coworkers. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Well, minor thing there.
Just his funny little joke.
So Peggy basically says to Mike, "Don't be a dick," and then she tells Lionel, "Let's go in and question the men." And so Mike goes back into the hole. The next scene, we're at the pool, and Tommy is looking for bottles, and he goes to the dumpster to get bottles. Crawls in the dumpster where there are a gazillion and four ants.
This is disgusting. Ants aside, this kid is running around in child-sized Daisy Dukes. He's got no shoes on or anything, and he's crawling into dumpsters.
Yeah, no shirt,
Ew!
no shoes, just cut off shorts, and he's crawling in the dumpster. So, um,
Cut yourself and gotten a horrible infection anyway.
he goes into the dumpster to look for bottles. And then we cut to Mike at looking at Charlie's hard hat in the hole, and he sees some ants. He also sees worms, doesn't see any snakes. And then Valerie comes to see him, and he leaves the hole. Then we cut back to Tommy in the dumpster, and he stands up out of the dumpster, and he's covered with ants. They're attacking him. And then we cut back to Mike and Valerie, and Mike tells Valerie, "I think you should go back to the hotel." And Valerie gets a little pissed. She says, "Fine, you can't spend any time with me." And then Mike chases her down, and she calms down because that's all you need to do to a woman is chase her down, and she will calm down. Yeah. So anyway, but the people who write some of these things, I'm thinking, have you ever had any interaction with other human beings? You know, I don't know. I just to tell a woman to calm down is the last thing you do. To tell a
Yeah.
man to calm down is the last thing you do. If I'm enraged and someone tells me to calm down, I get more enraged.
Now, honestly, calm down is a bad phrase. Has that ever worked? Don't you just get
No.
more annoyed when they tell you to calm
Yes.
down?
Yeah, it may work with kids sometimes, but
Maybe.
that's about it. So
Yeah.
anyway. So in the next scene, we're back to Tommy, and he gets out of the dumpster covered with ants. He's screaming for his mom, and he starts running towards the pool as mom yells at the people around the pool to stop him because he can't swim. And he jumps in the pool with all these ants on him. And Mike jumps in to save him, and they pull him out, and all the people are there around the pool. They cover him with towels. Of course, there are no ants on him because water will easily spray off ants, I guess. So
Okay.
they,
uh, And this is when I started to think, well, maybe the kid does need to take care of his mom because she literally stood there screaming and didn't make a move to help her child. What parent does that?
one who wants her child dead.
I guess so.
Boy,
She's like, ah, help him. I'm like, are you not gonna jump in there and get your kid? What's wrong with you?
oh, yeah. So, um, they call an ambulance. He's unconscious. And the next scene, Valerie is talking to Ethel in the lobby, and they're saying, not sure if Tommy's going to make it. And Ethel says she is thinking of his mom, the dad leaving, and now the kid getting attacked by ants and her being a crappy mom and all that other stuff. I feel sorry for her. So, Tony and Gloria, excuse me, walk by where Valerie and Ethel are talking, and Tony tells Gloria to go back to the room that he is going to take his shot. And so he
Yeah, to really
introduces,
hammer home what an asshole the guy is. He's like,
yeah,
now is the perfect time to
yeah,
get her while
she's
she's vulnerable.
vulnerable because people are dying. Yeah.
Yep.
So Ethel shakes Tony's hand, and she tells Tony that my daughter Valerie has a lot of faith in you. And he says, I think I'm the right person to buy. And he's just smoozing her. And he says, you can stay on as a consultant to make sure that we do give this place the proper care that it deserves and to stay as it has been for since it's been in your family, and blah, blah, blah. Then he excuses himself, and Ethel thinks much better things about him. He's not so bad. All it took was a handshake, a business card, a 3-second conversation, and I like him. So,
Yeah,
anyway,
I was hoping she wouldn't fall for that, but she did.
yeah. So we're back at the site, and Mike tells Vince that Frank and Tommy are going to make it. Way to go, Tommy and Frank. Um, Charlie's still dead though. Um,
Oh,
and he says the doc still wants us to check out the hole. And Mike says, whatever it is, um, we've angered something because we've disturbed it. So at this point, it could have been anything. It could have been an old dinosaur down there. It could have been a homeless person down there.
could have been the
Could have,
last dinosaur back for
yes,
revenge.
yes, yes, yes. Or, it could have been Franklin Roosevelt. We don't know what was down there. We just
There's
don't.
just no way to know.
Even though they kept showing ants, we have no way of knowing what desserts. Anyway.
That I don't think that proves anything though.
Mhm. So Tony goes to his room and tells Gloria that Ethel is going to sell. And Gloria asks if this is a partnership between him and her, meaning Gloria, are we going to be partners? And he consents and they kiss. And then the next thing we see Richard closing the pool, and Linda's there because she has nothing to do there, the freeloading hippie out there. And then he tells Linda, well, I guess we're done here. And she is distraught she says she's distraught because of Tommy's scream, and they leave. And then Mike and Vince, we go back to Mike and Vince digging in the hole. And all of a sudden, Vince starts getting bit in the leg by the ants. And he's like, oh man, these ants are biting me. It hurts. It hurts. So Mike takes him out of the hole, and he can't stand, and his whole leg is numb. And Mike wants to call an ambulance, but Vince says, no, give me some time. I'll be fine. I'm just a little woozy. So, and
And
apparently,
yeah, and he is fine. So I don't understand why some people drop dead immediately, but Vince can just shake it off. He's fine.
because he's a former all pro NFL player, he's a superior human being.
All right, you got me there. All right.
Okay. So we're back in the kitchen, and the cook, who is wearing sandals, which would never pass if an inspector came in, but he's wearing sandals while he
Ew.
cooks. That's gross. And he gets attacked by the ants, of course, on the feet first because they're probably he's got sandals on. Let's go for the feet. How ants are. So oddly, after they attack him and kill him, they all decide, hey, all right, let's get out of here. They all ran down the drain. I'm thinking, oh, come on. The ants aren't going to do that. Oh, some of my findings here. Let's go. Oh, down the drain. Everybody down the drain. Hurry, hurry, hurry. So
The ants go
anyway,
marching one by one.
yeah, that's right. So in the next scene, Vince and Mike are drinking some whiskey, which is what one does when their leg is numb and they can't stand on it. And um, after a few seconds, it kind of hits Mike, and he runs into the hole and he collects some ants in a jar. And then they see an ambulance leave, and Val comes by and tells him that they found the cook dead in the kitchen with sandals on. No, she didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. So inside the lobby, Peggy is telling those in power, Peggy, the health inspector, those in power, that the kitchen must be quarantined and all the guests will need to be evacuated. And Lionel says he thinks it's a virus. Mike says, no, I think the cause are these ants. And Lionel laughs at him. Then they argue, and Mike is adamant that it's the ants. And Lionel says, okay, let's go to the kitchen to see if there are any ants. Of course, they find no ants because they all left. And I thought,
Hmm.
how convenient. Okay. Um, Mike says, I still think it's the ants. And Lionel says, no, it's a virus. So anyway, Lionel pours some of the ants from the jar that Mike has collected into his hand, and nothing happens.
Which is such a smart thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason nothing happens is because he's not moving, because ants are naturally docile.
You're right, and that comes into play at the end, and I didn't even think about
Yeah.
it. You're right. Now, you used to work in pest control. Is
I
it
was,
that crazy that there could be some kind of ant colony, up till now we haven't discovered that could kill people?
yeah, fire ants can kill people.
Well, yes. But the guy's like, oh, this is so, it's ridiculous, ridiculous theory. I'm like, I don't think venomous insects is
No,
ridiculous.
no. There are bullet ants that are venomous. There are fire ants. There are army ants. Army ants, I don't know if they're venomous, but they eat away, you know, once they find a food source, they just clean it to the bone. So yeah,
Hmm.
ants, there are some species of ants that are not pleasant. And then there's the velvet ant, which is around here, which is actually not an ant, it's a wingless wasp. And that sucker, when it stings you, that's why they call it the cow killer. It hurts like crazy. So,
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one. Ew.
yeah. We actually had one about 10 years ago by the house. I saw one. You don't see them too often, but they're around here. They look like
Ugh.
a big ant, about an inch long, and but they have kind of like a velvety orange patch on their body. That's why they're called velvet ants. And they're
Hmm.
also called cow killers because the sting really hurts. So no, it's not far-fetched um, that there are venomous ants. So as Mike leaves, he says he's going to test his theory and hopes that he is wrong. Then Peggy takes the jar of ants from Lionel and says that she will be back within an hour and she's going to go to the scientists in the lab and have them looked at. So now we're back at the hole and Mike gets into an earth mover and just starts moving dirt in this hole, which is the dumbest thing to do. I don't know why he did that.
I didn't even understand what he was doing. He's doing his grand plan for like ever, and I'm like, what are you even doing? You're just moving dirt around. What are you accomplishing? Because you seem to make it worse.
Yeah, he made it much worse. I was like, you never explained how you were going to prove it. You just decided I'm going to go disturb these ants even more.
More,
So,
yeah.
so meanwhile, Lionel is posting no trespassing signs around the hotel. Ethel and Val tell Lionel that he is ruining the place. They've had this place for generations in their family, coming in over 100 years. And they tell Lionel he just doesn't care. And Lionel says the building must be emptied and sealed in 2 hours. Lionel's a jerk, but I agree with him. I mean,
Yeah.
well,
But
let's keep it open. It's been in the family. I don't care if people keep dying. It's like,
and Valerie says, well, we've always had ants. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe this place really does deserve to be shut down.
so in the next scene, we're at the lab and Peggy is talking to a scientist and she has the ants in a jar and asks the scientist if it is possible that they are the culprits. And he says it can take hours, possibly days to know. And the scientist also says it is possible with all the chemicals that we've been pouring into the ecosystem that something weird is going on. And then they watch a video of ant colonies and they see ants attacking creatures that disturb them. Ants are docile unless they are disturbed. And when they are disturbed, and you learn this, I did pest control for 4 years. You learn this when you start working with this. You understand the last thing you want to do with an ant colony is disturb it unless you got something to disturb it with that's going to kill it because it will make
Hmm.
them scatter and everything. And different ants, you have to approach different ways to kill them. Like a pharaoh ant, you can't just walk up and spray. I mean, you just can't
Hmm.
because they're mostly in hospitals where there are blood supplies, and so you have to do different things.
Oh my
So
God.
there are so many different species of ants, and you have to know exactly what you're looking at. With these, we don't know what kind of ants they are. They never talk about, which different. And that was one thing. What subspecies of ant is this?
They just say, well, we poured chemicals, so they
Yeah.
mutated, I guess. But don't worry, they're sure it's just this one colony, I guess.
So we cut back to Mike, who's still digging in the hole and digging into the pipe with this earth mover, disturbing about 1 gazillion ants, and the ants start moving en masse towards the lodge in some of the worst special effects I've ever seen. They just kind of like did a black smear, like, oh, these are the ants moving en masse, and no, they're not. You just kind of smeared the film, and so, but
Well, you know how hard it is to train ants?
it is very hard. Yes, I can imagine it is. So the next scene, we see Gloria and Tony in bed in the afterglow of a romantic interlude, and they have this odd pillow talk about staying forever if Tony buys the hotel and the land, and Tony chews her out. Uh, and she was trying to talk to him about how to talk to, she's trying to talk to him about how to talk to Gloria, and he chews her out. And so she asked if they're going to be partners, are we going to be bed partners and other kind of partners? Oh,
She said, the
yeah.
only partner you really want is a bed partner. And I'm like, well, yeah, this is a middle-aged man in the 70s. You're not
Yeah.
he doesn't see you as an equal.
And you're Suzanne Summers. I mean, come on. So, uh, uh, Gl- Gloria is, um, she's skeptical of what he's saying, and he kind of spills the bean that he wants to build a casino on the property. Oh, yeah, casino. That's awesome. Casi
Fun.
casinos always make money. They're a license to steal money. There is nobody that's ever going to bankrupt a casino. That's how tight they
No,
are. No, no,
no.
no.
Our commander in chief has never bankrupted a casino.
Did
No.
he ever own casinos?
Was it a I thought it was casinos. Maybe it was just the hotels.
I thought he owned a McDonald's. That's all. I always see him at McDonald's.
Well, he's putting a McDonald's into the White House when he's done with the big, beautiful ballroom. Then we'll have a big, beautiful McDonald's.
That's right. So as Tony's in bed with Gloria, he hears Mike moving the dirt around, and so he decides he's gonna get up and see what the noise is, and then the camera pans to the floor of the room, and you start to see some ants in the room. Then Ethel calls Tony, and she says, "In view of what is happening, can we really put this on hold?" And Tony says, "No, let's negotiate right now in the music room. Let's just get this over with." So Mike continues to dig and disturb even more ants. And I have in my notes, what an idiot.
Yeah,
And
I wrote in my notes. So is his plan to flood the place with ants and kill everyone to prove his point?
must be, I don't know. So now
Idiot.
these ants are all over the lodge. And Tony gets dressed for his meeting with Ethel because she doesn't like to meet naked men, apparently. And there are people that they are evacuating out of the hotel. And Valerie asks Richard to take over getting the guests out so she can see what Mike is doing. And she opens the door, and to her astonishment, she sees ants everywhere. And now we're back in Gloria's room. She's still in bed and she's sleeping, and these ants are on her. And I'm surprised she slept through most of it because I get one ant on me. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but she's got ants covering her. She wakes up, or they just show her in bed with the ants on her. And then we cut back to Mike. He finally gets out of the dozier, the earth mover, and he sees, oh crap, there are ants in mass moving towards the lodge. Maybe I
He gets out
effed
and he's
up.
like, there, I saved the day.
So, um, so he drives out of the hole, and Lionel comes out of the hotel to see what Mike is doing, and he walks up through a bunch of ants, and he gets attacked, and he's killed. And Tony sees all this out of his window, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, these are mean ants." So Vince pulls up on an earth mover, and Mike says, "Don't get out. Ants are everywhere." And they decide to call the authorities and to dig a trench around the area and fill it with water to contain the ants. And I immediately said, that's not going to work. Just like it was impossible for Tommy to jump in the pool and the ants. No, that's not going to work either.
Mm,
Ants are they have adhesive to their legs. They have mandibles that pinch into you. They're not going to pull him out of the water, and they're magically going to be gone. So, but
mm,
anyway, so they decide they're going to call the authorities, dig this trench, and fill it with water to contain the ants. And Tony goes to his room, and he sees Gloria dead and all the ants around her. And
I did say, well, I guess to his credit, he did go check on her. I mean, she was already dead, but at least he wasn't like, bye.
yeah, so um, Mike gets in the loader bucket and gets himself in a window to not disturb the ants on the ground, goes in the hotel. Valerie hugs Mike, and now they're trapped in the hotel. And at this point, we have Mike, Valerie, Richard, Linda, Ethel, and Tony in the hotel. Everybody else is gone. So, um, the workers continue to dig this trench, and Peggy is talking to the scientists on her car phone. And I thought, I didn't know they had car phones back in the 70s, but
I didn't
apparently they
either.
did. But
Huh.
anyway, and the scientist tells her that these ants are toxic. And he says a trench won't do it because the ants can build their own bridge. And what we need to do is fill that trench up with gas and set it on fire. And immediately Peggy said, Cool. Um, by this time, the authorities are getting there. There's gawkers everywhere, and they're trying to keep the gawkers back, and they're trying to dig this trench, and there's people trapped in the hotel, dead people, dogs and cats living together, all that other crap going on. And the ants are forcing Mike, Valerie, Tony, Ethel, Linda, and Richard upstairs. And Mike and Richard, they go up and they scope things out. And then Mike and Valerie go to the cellar to get some kerosene because there's no pesticides in the hotel, but there is some kerosene in the cellar. So
Even
they
though
do,
they've always had ants.
yeah, that's why there was no pesticides. But anyway,
Exactly. It makes sense.
so the authorities are arriving, and then the fire chief, played by Brian Dennehy, who has no neck, um, also known as Rex McElroy, from the
In broad daylight.
In Broad Daylight, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I was really hoping that Johnny and Roy were gonna show up and save everybody from the ants when I saw the fire truck. And well, Roy would save everyone. Johnny would end up getting attacked because he was a dum dum.
so Tony says that the fire chief arrives, and Tony's telling the fire chief that the trench needs to be filled with water. And Peggy is there. She says, No, no, no. We have a scientist who said we need to fill this with gasoline and then set it on fire. That's the only thing that will contain them because they could build a bridge over the water. And so back inside, uh, Tony doesn't want to help. And Mike takes kerosene, forces on him, says, Get upstairs. And so the firemen, they decide to get a hook and ladder and try to rescue them. And so they take the ladder and they extend it to the window where they're at. And they decide that Linda needs to go first. And so Richard and Mike, they're dousing the ants with kerosene. And then they go there because the ladder's there. And Tony tries to go first, but Richard stops him and says, Listen, my dad is Dick Van Dyke, and he will not allow me to live if I let you go first. It's got to be Linda that goes first. So she's trying to get out the third floor, the top floor of this hotel, and she's trying to reach for the fireman's hand, but she's scared because she's afraid of heights. Ah, there's a callback. And so finally she grabs the fireman's hand, but she doesn't like get herself on the ladder. So she's just dangling there, and he's got her and she's dangling, and they kind of move the ladder, and then they kind of get it upright so she can get her footing on the ladder, and she's fine.
Yeah, for
And
a second I'm like, why are they lifting her higher as she's dangling for dear life? But I was then I saw like, oh, okay, they're trying to get it vertical so she can grab onto the ladder.
that's right. And the ants are getting too numerous, so they go into the hall and they keep using the kerosene. Then they decide we got to go as high as we can go. So they go to the very top floor, and there's a Coast Guard helicopter that shows up, and Richard and Mike are still using the kerosene, and Tony is still whining like a little bitch.
Would the
And
kerosene do anything, actually? Would it deter
oh
ants?
yeah, I'm sure it would kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, so um we see that they're filling this trench with gasoline as the scientist shows up. The fire chief calls into the hotel from Peggy's car phone, and Mike tells him that they are as high as they can go and they are stuck and the ants are coming. And okay, sorry. That was my Alexa telling me someone's at the door. Um, Someone rings the doorbell about once every 2 months, and it would be during this podcast. No one ever comes over here. So, so the chief says that they're sending a helicopter, and the scientist says to the fire chief and Peggy that the ants have learned to use the toxins to their benefit. That's the problem here. These ants are not special ants. They've learned to use toxins that we've been used to try to kill them. So it gets kind of reminded me of a 50s science fiction movie where they started blaming everything on nuclear fallout, and
Yeah.
now it's like, oh no, toxins, toxins. But anyway,
Yeah. Now why couldn't they keep using
what's that?
why couldn't they keep using the ladder?
Why couldn't they keep using the ladder? I don't know.
Yeah, why did we give up on that plan? They're just like, oh, that's not working.
Um,
It seemed to be working.
it not only was it working, it was cool to watch her dangle. So
Yeah.
anyway, so by now the kerosene is out. The helicopter comes and they lower a basket to the top floor balcony, and they load Ethel in the basket because Ethel is in a wheelchair, so they have to load her in a basket. And as they're trying to take off with the basket, it kind of gets hung up on this piece of wood. And so Richard, he tries to, and successfully, he unsticks it from the wood, but loses his balance and falls off the balcony. But he falls onto a canopy.
I'm
Like a
glad you wrote his name down because I was calling him Pool Boy the whole movie. I didn't catch his name.
yeah. So and it's not like it's a canvas canopy, it's a can of peas that he falls on and just smashes it. Uh,
Uh-huh.
okay, it was a canvas canopy. So Vince gets into one of the earth movers and goes to rescue Richard. He hoists the bucket up there. Richard jumps into the bucket and Vince takes him to safety because Vinces are cool like that. But the helicopter, when it's flying, the downdraft starts blowing the ants all around into the gawkers. So everybody's being attacked by ants. But Vince, who, even though he caused all this, he grabs a fire hose and he sprays all the ants off the entire crowd. And
Now, this might be an asshole thing to say, but I could not help the imagery in my head. I'm like, do you think it was satisfying for Bernie Casey to spray all those white people with a fire hose?
awesome.
I couldn't help it. It was just, I'm like, wow, what a
I
there.
don't think there was another African American in this movie.
No,
Oh, he
there
probably
wasn't.
really enjoyed it. Take that. I mean, this is like just 10 years after civil rights and just like 30 years before we got rid of civil rights. I mean, he's in that sweet spot there. So
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, Ethel makes it. She's fine. Uh, so the fire chief ignites the trench. So we've got the trench on fire. Richard finds Linda and they hug. And then the chief calls Mike and Mike asks, "Why are you setting things on fire?" He says, "The place is soaked with kerosene." And the fire chief says, "Well, there's no other way. You got to contain the ants. Sorry if you burn to a crisp." But anyway, and he tells Mike, "We can't do the helicopter because the downdraft was blowing ants on everybody."
And we
And then
can't
he's,
do the ladder because we forgot about it.
yeah. So the Coast Guard, he says the Coast Guard is sending us special suits to come in and get you out, and they will be here in about 30 minutes. And Mike says, "I don't know if we got 5 minutes." Oh, come on, Mike, be a man. So, yeah, we can tough it out. So then the scientist gets on the phone with Mike and he says, "If you don't move or breathe on the ants, they won't bite you because ants are docile, which they are until you disturb them." So uh, Mike has this, I thought was a genius idea. He starts tearing off wallpaper and he starts making these breathing tubes that they can put to their mouths and breathe through their mouth so they're not breathing on the ants to disturb them because the ants are coming in and they're going to start getting on their body and it's going to be quite creepy at that time. And then at this time, it's just Mike, Valerie, and Tony left. Everybody else has been evacuated out. And they sit calmly in a circle and wait for the ants to come on them. And when the ants start coming on them, Valerie cries to Mike, but Mike calms her down. The ants are really getting on to them, and Tony and Valerie are being whiny bitches about the whole thing. And Mike's just
This
like,
was like very
just
fear
breathe.
factor, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I could sit there like that either. I
Yeah.
don't like bugs.
Yeah. Mike's just like, just shut up and breathe through the tubes.
Right.
So the suits get there, and the men suit up in these suits, and they enter the hotel spraying pesticide gases, and they work their way up to the hotel. They go into the room where the three are, still spraying these pesticide gases everywhere. And um, before they get to the room, Tony freaks out, gets up, and decides to jump out the window into the pool from the top floor of the hotel. And dadgummit, he misses. Splat. He dead. He gone.
Which, and I was like, oh, good. I was starting to worry he wasn't going to get what he deserved. So,
Yeah. So the guys in the suits, they enter the room to save them, and they're just spraying these gases everywhere. And I'm like, toxic fumes. Hello. They don't have masks. They have breathing tubes. They are sucking this stuff in. They're not coughing or anything.
what are they going to
And
do at that point?
yeah, so then at the end, there's some post-log personal crap that I wasn't interested in, but Mike does ask the scientist if this will happen again, and the scientist says that he doubts it. And I'm thinking, yeah, he should have said, yes, it's going to happen again because we need a sequel because we all need jobs. But anyway, that's the movie. And like Tabitha said, I spent 4 years in pest control. I have on accident breathed pesticides, and this was in the 90s. I have breathed in pesticides on accident, and the pesticides in the 90s were less toxic than they were in the 70s. And I want to tell you, you cough your lungs out, your eyes water, you feel crappy, and it takes a few days to fully get feeling normal again. And here they are, these guys in suits, basically hazmat suits, spraying these people down with this toxic chemical and they're not coughing or anything and everybody's just fine. I'm like, stop it. This is terrible. Tabitha, do you think this was the first time I saw Panic at Lakewood Manor? Do you think this was the first time I saw ants? Or do you think this was the first time I saw it happened at Lakewood Manor? Or did
This
I
is the.
watch a repeat of one of those three? Or was this the first time I saw one of these three?
Mm, I hope you watched this when you were a kid.
I did watch it when I was a kid. So,
Yay.
yeah. Do you give it a classic or a trash it?
I actually do give it a classic. Was, I thought this was very enjoyable. It was like a TV movie version of all those star-packed disaster movies from the 70s, you know?
Okay.
And I had a lot of fun with it.
There are holes in it that we made fun of, but as a whole, I have to give it a classic, not just because I saw it when I was little and I didn't understand breathing in toxic fumes and ants and all that other stuff. Um, but it was kind of, for me, it was a throwback to the 50s science fiction when you had giant grasshoppers and stuff, big
And
tarantulas,
giant ants.
and
Them.
giant ants in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, because of um, atomic radiation, except this was in the 70s when we were really focused on things like chloridane, DDT, terrible stuff that we were putting on crops and using to kill insects. And we found out, geez, man, this stuff is terrible to human beings. So they quit doing that. But yeah, I think I'll give it a classic because I was entertained. Even though there were the holes in it, I was entertained. And one of the things that I liked is that um the actors and actresses played it straight.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. There was no winking at the camera like, this is dumb or anything. They played it straight. And when you have uh trouble getting roles like, Robert Foxworth and Bernie Casey and people like that, and you can't really just get much roles. You have to put it all into those roles that you get.
Yeah.
Like, I passed up J.R. Ewing for this. What am I stupid? Yeah.
Stupid, stupid, stupid.
It's worth a watch. It is no longer on YouTube. But if you want to
Bummer.
spend $2.99 on Amazon Prime, it's there. Eh, you know, if you got the bucks like me, those big bucks, you can afford the 2.99. So,
You can splurge that $3.
oh yeah. Yeah, shoot. I probably would have spent 3.49 on it.
Wow. That's
No.
high praise.
So, what are we going to watch next week?
Next week, and I'm excited about this because I've been wanting to watch this for years and it was never on YouTube, and now it's on YouTube. It's called A Cry in the Wilderness.
Do you have any other information? Who's in it? Who's
Yes,
crying?
it is Joanna Pettit, and I believe it's George Kennedy.
George. Love
But let
George
me double
Kennedy.
check on that. In yes, it is George Kennedy, Joanna Pettit, and some other people that I don't recognize off the top of my head.
My favorite George Kennedy quote is,
My father went the same way.
Frank, use your open eye.
Okay, that's good too. I also
I don't
like
see
Ted.
anything in there. Frank, use your open eye. Oh, okay.
I also like the line right before that. Ted, why?
Oh, man. Naked Gun movies. So great stuff. All right. We
Yep.
will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us and have a good one.